Welcome to the America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry, powered by the American Business Podcast. We are the voice and platform of American businesses for success in this age of AI. We are welcoming you. We are inclusive as America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Join us. From solo entrepreneur to Fortune 500 companies, there is something for every single business at AVCCI, America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We have committees, we have clubs such as Business Book Club, Public Speakers Club, and we are fully integrated with the American Business Podcast. It means visibility for your business, for your profession, publicity for your activities, for your company is built in with the membership of AVCCI. Join us and let's grow this business community together. At AVCCI, you can connect, educate, collaborate, and more importantly, build business relationships to grow your business in this age of AI. Thank you for your support and visit our website at avcci.us to learn more and be a member. Join us and let's grow this community together. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for our monthly business book club, virtual business book club. And it should be a lot of fun. Today we have a live interview, and he's here, Mel Blackwell, who's written Uncommon Sense.
Greetings.
And if you don't know, you could see the background where Mel's sitting, if you have any doubt as to the name of the book. But Jim is going to interview Mel in a couple minutes, and then we're going to get into a discussion of the science of scaling. Hopefully you guys have either read this book, heard about it, listened to it, or whatever. It's really great. I got into it and have some really good thoughts about it. We can get into that later, talk about it, criticize it, whatever you want to do, but get into the nuts and bolts of how to scale a business and how this whole scaling system by Benjamin Hardy works. Kevin, first, I think you have some announcements for us.
Yes, thank you very briefly. Thank you very much, and thanks for everyone for joining. Thank you, Jim and Steve, for your leadership in at AVCCI Business Book Club. Very briefly, at AVCCI, our mission is to support, promote, uplift, and connect American businesses, nonprofits, manufacturers, and the business community in this age of AI. And we truly appreciate your support by being here. Just brief announcements from us. As you know, at AVCCI, America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry, powered by the American Business Podcast, every week we have committee meetings and club meetings. Today is one of them. Also, tomorrow we have Proactive Business Education Club coming up. Next week also we have other events coming up, committee meetings. Committee meetings, just like today's meeting, very inclusive. They are complimentary, no charge. Feel free to join us. You don't have to be a member. And if you like to be a member, you can go to avcci.us. You can see the benefits of being a member of AVCCI. And we'd love to have you as a member as well. Thank you very much for your support. Steve, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Jim is going to start us off, and Jim actually has a new business. Maybe we should give Jim a free plug here at the beginning before he talks to Mel.
we can, yeah. So thank you for that, Steve. And for those who were in last month's meeting, I may have mentioned that while I was reading Grit, I was, was probably mid pivot. And as of Monday, I've completed that pivot, and I closed on a small business. It's a bit of a passion project for me. I love being around food. I love being around people, and had an opportunity popped up for me to pay homage to my dad, who passed about 10 years ago. So yeah, very excited to be taking on this new thing. For those of you who are in the New York, New Jersey area, you know what a pork store is. And that is what I purchased, and looking forward to just becoming embedded in this community and spreading good food and cheer everywhere I can. So thank you. And as Steve mentioned, one of the things we do each month is we like to highlight a member author. And this month's member author is Mel Blackwell, author of Uncommon Sense. So Mel, I'm going to give you the floor for a second. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to write Uncommon Sense?
Thanks, Jim. Congrats, by the way, for jumping off that high dive. That last minute is always the scariest one.
Yes.
Well, I spent 35 years, even before I went to college, through college, after college, in startups, and then got into being a corporate fixer. Anybody that's ever done that knows that you don't do anything alone. So I can't, the book is not a me book. Who cares about me? The book is about how we, over a period of time, learned how to impact results in business through culture. And so there are a lot of people out there that can get results. And I kind of considered it, how do I do it where I take care of the people as a shepherd versus go in there and scorch the earth, and get the results. And so I grew through the 35 years, and the book was, I started writing notes in a Word document about 20 years ago. And then the notes just continued to get bigger and bigger. And then I sat down one day and said, I think I need to document this. And so the book it's a pretty quick and easy read. It's not, nobody's going to give me a Nobel Prize or a Pulitzer, but for organizations that are out there facing that next, what happens when we do well in business? They give us a bigger budget, right? And people go, one day I'll be the boss. Well, you got a bank, you got a board, you've got shareholders. I mean, you really never, ever get total control. And so what takes your control away is, oh man, I'm facing a riddle. How will I do this year? Is this the right team? Is the way we did it the last decade going to work this decade? So this book answers those questions. How do you get results through culture? And I think it's pretty powerful. My book is all dog-eared and yellowed and red. I use it all the time. I refer back to it. And so I'll say it again. It's not a, hey, look at me, aren't I great book? It's how we, a group of us, time and again, I would be about a 2 to 7 year cycle of how long I stayed in a business. I knew going in, I wasn't the visionary. I was not probably going to stay, but it could take 2, 4, 6, 7 years. And the last thing I'll say on this is I wasn't a consultant that went in and, gave them some good advice and then ran for the door. I embedded with the team. I took a permanent C-level role and we set out to sea, and it got treacherous. And if I didn't get them back to safety, I died too. So I ate my own dog food. And, hopefully those that have read the book can attest that, it's a little different than the average business book.
Thanks a lot, Mel. I guess a lot of people talk about culture, right? Yeah. But how, in your experience, what are the keys to getting culture right?
Well, the number one thing is everybody has to be on the same side of the rope. And everybody goes, yeah, of course. But the rope starts and restarts and restarts and restarts. And it usually gets recast with the next, oh, crap, can we even pull this off challenge? So the first part in culture, what I call make the town safe, it starts at that leadership table. And, I would go in after a company had tried for maybe 3 or 4 years or even a decade, and they weren't getting traction, and they were getting out on thin ice. So sometimes, honestly, when I joined the table, I looked around and I'm like, that guy, they have burned him up. Like there's no way he's good he needs to go to a medic, right? He's not going to do me a lot of good in this next stretch through the desert. So the first part of culture is around that senior leadership table. Is everybody capable? Is everybody in it? Do they have the EOS? Do they get it, want it, have the capacity to do it? And then it goes down. It goes down from there and it goes into this. Everybody has to do their job, but in a healthy culture, executive jobs aren't figuring it all out for everybody. Executive roles are not thinking for everybody. Executives have specific roles they should do. Not so as a table, they have a generic role they pull off, but then each individual VP or C-level, CFO, COO. I was generally an ops guy. So all of us have a specific role, but together we have to make good music. It's like an orchestra. Can you pull it off? But what I learned, the number one thing about a culture is, are the problems coming up looking for solutions, or is the executive team able to push those problems down? Even better than that, is the organization, is the culture so healthy and everybody's cast, the roles are defined, the people are in the right roles, and you've got the right culture, everybody's trying to be the best version of themselves. And then all of a sudden this happens. This is the uncommon sense culture flip. They reach up and they pull problems down. And next thing you know, solutions are coming up. When that happens, to me, that's traction. And that's what a healthy culture does.
Thank you. My next question is now a two-part question, because there was definitely, I enjoyed reading the book, but there was definitely a lot of references to the Wild West. Yeah. So where are you from?
I'm from Prattville, Alabama, which is more of a redneck than a cowboy.
Okay. Okay. Talk to us a little bit about the square-wheeled wagon concept.
So the square-wheeled wagon is a lot of what I did. All of us have gifts, right? And so I had to be around other people that had gifts that I didn't. But one of the gifts I realized was I could create language that got the people all the way down to the concrete to go, yeah, they could relate to it. So the square-wheeled wagon came from when I'll add on to what I just said. As executives, our job really is to round off those wheels, what I call lower the slope. So I'd go into a lot of business and they have the self-inflicted difficulty of working there jacked up. Like I've been on rock climb businesses and everybody's just used to it. And I'm like, man, we don't have to live this way. So the first thing executives should do in their culture is let's don't give any more impotence. Let's don't give any more slope difficulty. Set the game on as easy as we can, right? And so the square-wheeled wagon was just a way to communicate with people why we couldn't correct the culture. I'll give you a real quick example. You go in and you say, look, we need to pay our sales organization on profitability. And the organization goes, to hell you will, because y'all don't deliver the product good. You know, our customer service is bad. You know, those are square wheels. And so nobody fixes the thing because of the square wheels. And I would go in and go, yeah, we're going to do it all. I would go to the sales organization and go, guys, I have to pay you on profitability. I have to pay you what I want you to do. So I can't incentivize you on top line and then get upset at you that you don't care about profits. And they would be like, no, you can't do that because we don't have anything to do with. And I'm like, I understand. So I came up with the square-wheeled wagon analogy. I said, guys, you're pulling a square-wheel wagon and I see it. And my job is to round off those wheels. And so it is a way to kind of create the agreement between the people out there that can't round off the wheels, that have to pull a square-wheeled wagon, and those of us with the power to round off those wheels and then yell giddy up to these guys and go, get it. And don't get me wrong, this isn't a country club. We want to kill it. We want to be Ricky Bobby. We want to win the race. But executives need to lower the slope. They need to round off those square-wheeled wagons. They need to make the town safe. We have power to do certain things, but then they shouldn't expect us to think for them. So I came up with this last rule in business. It's in the book because I got overwhelmed with problems. And I said, you know what? I don't want to hear another problem unless you've thought long enough to attach a solution to it. And that's the beginning of the handoff of the how journey to the people to go, y'all figure it out. Right. My job is to do these things. You guys figure this out. And it blew my mind that the people are very capable, you know.
Okay. So one of the other things that stood out to me, you know, when you're talking about culture and people being a big part of that culture, one of the other principles you discuss in your book is that structure is more important than people. Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, I think it's chronologically before, but not necessarily more important. So you won't fix bad structure with the right people. But if you get the right structure in place, well, then the next equally important thing is the people. So early on, and it was actually in graduate school, that was something that was taught, that structure first, then the people. So it's kind of chronology, not importance. Okay. But a lot of times what we'll do, we'll build our business, you know, based on the people that are in it. And so the technology changes, AI comes around. I mean, people's leadership table, if you got 2 or 3 guys at your leadership table that are running from AI, they may not make it, you know, at my table. I'm like, man, I need people to help me get this thing. So when that world changes, You have to look at your structure every year and go, did I build the company yesterday for today and tomorrow? So structure is purely organizational structure, accountability chart, and trying to define it as lean and mean as you can, but not too much. And then you cast the right people in the right seats. We've all read that stuff for decades. And so it's really important though, because a lot of times when you go into a business, it can be your business from last year, or it can be somebody else's business. You take a new role. You walk in and they're having certain symptoms. And I can see it right away. I'm like, let me look at your org chart, because it's not built right. So the structure first, the people second, and then align the comp so that the people aren't fighting and pulling against each other. That's back to the one side of the rope analogy.
Thanks. One of my favorite expressions when you're talking about, there's been a lot of talk, like Jim Collins getting the right people on the bus, are they in the right seat? I think my favorite expression in the book was, you can't ask a cat to bark.
Exactly.
So talk to me a little bit about what inspired that.
Well, like, once again, I mean, Collins is the one that came up with all that. I mean, he helped us so much. I mean, I've used it. I remember reading that. I was like, man, this is so good, and it gave me confidence to go out there and address the people issues, structure and people. But asking a cat to bark was it came up in a meeting where one time, it's been a long time ago, but somebody was like, well, let's just recast Bob. Well, Bob's been in customer service now. Let's move him over into sales. And I'm like, guys, y'all are asking a cat to bark. And for a brief second, everybody was they didn't know whether to be offended or to laugh. And then everybody just laughed. And so it's just a way to get people to see the ridiculousness of a person is a human being. It's a soul. A person is a soul. And so, as a good shepherd, when you expect them to do something they're not wired to do, and they commit to it, whose fault is that? In my world, it was my fault. I'm like, man, I don't need to ask a cat to bark. So I either have a cat role or I don't. And so that's why when you go back to the structure first, people second, the whole Collins thing, the right seat on the bus, then, asking a cat to bark is just a way to get people, you can roll these things out and people quit doing them. We all do it. That's why New Year's resolutions don't last past February for most people. But asking a cat to bark is a way we can all hold each other accountable, create a laugh, but then come back to the universal truth of this is really not the right thing to do.
Okay, so my last question, I think you may have alluded to the answer before when you were talking about Ricky Bobby, but my last question is, what inspired the chapter, if you're not wrecking, you're not riding?
Oh, well, so my brother's 4 years older than me, and pretty tough guy. Like he's the guy that can work on dune buggies. He's mechanical. He's an architect. So we're different. But he was growing up 4 years older. He's like my hero, right? So I'm riding motorcycles with my brother, and in my mind, riding a motorcycle, I know I'm probably 10. He's 14. I have to double check that, but about that age, and we're tearing through the woods at my uncle's place on my uncle's motorcycles, right? And my uncle's a dentist, and his motorcycles are spit polished. And my brother comes back, his handlebars are bent. He's got mud on. He's got bloody knuckles. And I'm eking up the trail, scared to hit anything, perfectly clean. I could have gone to church with the clothes I had on. And he comes skidding up, mudslings on me, and he just looks over at me. He's like, "What?" And I said, "You wrecked Uncle Roland's motorcycle." And he's like, "Mel, if you ain't wrecking, you ain't riding." And he got off, he straightened his handlebars, cranked that joker up, and tore up the trail. And I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I need to ride a little bit harder, right? And so that whole chapter is to allow people in your business. Now, if you do this in a culture that hadn't been fixed, you're cruel, because everybody's going to destroy it. They're going to wreck, tear up your place. But that's very late in the book. So when you've made the town safe, right, got rid of anybody that's not on our side of the road that doesn't need to be here, especially culture bandits, when you've lowered the slope, those square wheels, aligned the team with structure first, people second, then you get to the part we can race. And now you're turning it over to the business, to the people, to all your sub-shepherds, all the managers that work for you. You're turning it over to them. And one of the most important things that you have to say to them is, y'all ride. Y'all ride. Just that we make corrections in a zigzag dot to dot way in a good culture. You never go straight up to north. And as long as you true up a lot and all the teams are working together, then you let people know, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. And in fact, I expect you to, because if you ain't wrecking, you ain't riding. And when you turn all that loose in a culture, It is unreal. The reason I didn't ever quit doing it, honestly, because many times I got done and I'm like, man, that was treacherous. I don't know if I can do that again. Here I go. I go do it again. I finally just said, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. I'm getting a little bit older. But the reason I kept doing it was because it works and it's fun. And you get to see people grow and do their best work. It's amazing.
Well, thanks a lot, Mel. Appreciate you joining us today and sharing your insights with us.
Sure.
Just if we have a minute, I'd like to open it up to the audience. If anybody has any questions for Mel before we turn it over to Steve to talk about the science of scaling, you can either come off mute and ask your question or type it into the chat, or we can just move on to science of scaling if nobody has anything.
I have a question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Just briefly, yes. Well, removing toxic behavior. What are some ways to remove toxic behavior in a work environment?
Well, you have to listen to the people. So what happens is if you don't remove toxic people, then, and you're the one that has the power to do it, then those people that work either alongside or under that toxic person don't have the power. And they'll make a deal with the toxic person, because if they don't, the toxic person will bite them. So by not removing a toxic person, you're empowering somebody who you should have removed or done something with, right? At least disciplined and say, hey, you got to stop doing this. But we don't. A lot of us don't. And so my question for leaders all through the business, why are you making your sheep live amongst wolves? Get rid of the freaking wolves, you know? And they're like, wow, you know, but, and there's all these different reasons. And I'm like, our job, make the town safe, lower the slope. Both of those, a toxic person is both a square wheel and a culture bandit. And so you take it head on. But the first thing you do is you create a culture where the people, they will quit telling you. I've run into so many people that go, yeah, my people never complain about toxic people. I was like, they did. You didn't listen, you know? So you have to create an environment where when they see you with their own eyes, start making the wheels round, and they see you remove a culture bandit, you have no idea what you're in store for. Those people will get after it. And so it's really more about, if you can't see it, you're not listening. Everybody knows. You have no many times, and I'll make this brief. You have no idea how many times I walk into a business. I've been there 1 week, and I blow out 3 people, and even the board, everybody's like, "Oh man, Mel, hold us, slow down." And I'm like, guys, why can't y'all see it? Like, so it's a commitment. We all have these, core values and everything on the wall. Where does it say make your sheep live amongst wolves? Write that down if you're going to do it. All right. But if you're not willing to write that down, fix it. That's the way I approach it. It takes guts.
Okay, thank you. Just a follow-up brief question. Yesterday at AVCCI, we have our Leadership and Management Growth Committee. Our co-chairs are Kristen Daniels and Joe Beauchamp. So we talk about leadership and fundamentals of leadership. You just mentioned leadership as well yourself. Can you share some fundamentals of leadership from your point of view briefly, if that's okay?
Yeah. I think I really do. I think, you will have an effect on people as either a good influence or a bad influence. And it's a really bad feeling after you jumped out in front of the line and said, follow me, and you realize I didn't know what I was doing, or I didn't have a good heart. And so I always tried to, and listen, I mean, there was 23-year-old Mel and there's 58-year-old Mel. I grew a whole lot, right? But I always tried to be a good shepherd, to realize I want to leave people better than I found them. And I want them to grow in this environment. And I don't mind if they leave the company, because we grew them so great that they needed to go somewhere else to bloom. But leadership is really, I believe, the first role of a leader is to create the culture. It's the fish tank. It's everything that's alive in that water of the fish tank, to get it right so that people can prosper and they can grow. And they didn't go to work and have to work in your janked up mess of a company where you didn't have to live with all of the square wheels, but they did. You didn't have to live with the culture bandits, but they did. You didn't have to live, with a situation where it wasn't managed very well, but they did. And so the number one thing for me with leadership is get a good mirror and pony up and go first. And if you roll out a value, live up to it. And Kevin, I know you and I talked about it when we last spoke about the BEST pledge. And I won't go into that unless somebody wants me to, but the BEST pledge was one of the most powerful things that I ever rolled out in the business, and it came over about a decade. But it was actually just basically, let's all be the best version of ourselves. And it was amazing and some folks left. They were like, you can't talk to me about what I do when I leave work. And I'm like, I really don't care if the best version of you shows up to work, but how do you turn off the worst version of yourself at my door? And so I think leadership is realizing that you are actually going to be the person that was in charge of a lot of people's lives. And did you do it right or not?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mel. We appreciate, like I said, appreciate having you on here today.
Thank y'all.
Steve, let's turn it over to you to talk about the science of scaling.
Sure. And Mel, is your book available on all the usual outlets like Amazon and so forth?
It's everywhere. Amazon, Barnes and Noble. The audiobook is out, and so it's pretty easy to get. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll look for that. And if you haven't gotten a copy, yes, by all means, go out and get one. It's really good. I think you'll enjoy it. And you'll get a lot about formulating business and culture and putting the right people in the right places, as Mel's talking about. So a lot of value there. Thank you, Mel. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So now we're going to roll into this baby, the science of scaling. And hopefully some of you people have read this one. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought there was a lot of value here. Some people may not like it. I don't know why, but there's probably some things that don't make sense. But it was written by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who's a big time consultant and author now. He's sold millions of business books. I'm literally millions. And the whole concept is how to formulate an impossible goal and then put all the forces forward to make it happen. And we're talking about impossible, something that you didn't think could possibly work in your business, but maybe it can, and then put the forces behind it and eliminate the negative stuff that's holding you back. That's kind of an oversimplified form, but he talks about it establishing an impossible goal. So most people will say, well, we want to grow sales 10%. We want to grow sales 20%. Well, why not 500%? Well, wow, that's a lot. How are we going to do that? Well, we might be able to do something like that over 10 years. No, let's do it over 3 years or 5 years. How are we going to do that? What's it going to take? And then you eliminate everything that's holding you back from that and then start the thought process of putting the pieces together and the right people and so forth that's going to make it happen. So to get clarity on this impossible goal is really interesting. He says if you're not scaling aggressively, you're dying slowly. There's no in between. Simplify and accelerate. The stuff that slows you down stops existing. The path becomes more distinct. Progress and learning 10 times to 10,000 more, 10x. Goals should be simpler, more focused, and you need to get out of your comfort zone. The old grow by 10% or 20%, yeah, we all say that, but we can do better, according to him. And then you need to raise what he calls the floor, which is what you're most likely to accept. Like if we get a business deal and we're saying, oh, that's fine, that's good, that'll work, why not aim higher? Think of bigger things that's going to align us into our goal. If we're only interested in $100,000 contracts, why are we settling for ones that come across for 25 or 30? We're going to need to make a decision at some point to get rid of that floor, the things that are kind of dead ends that are holding us back. Then find better partners and shorten the timeline to make your goal happen. He throws out some sports analogies, which are pretty good. Tom Brady wanting to win as many Super Bowls as possible, helping management get the right players in the right places so they could win, and then Brady maintaining top physical condition throughout his career so he was able to do it at an older age when most people would have been retired. Another one on the negative side is Zion Williamson, who's a basketball player. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Zion. Huge man, was an All-American at Duke, incredible skills, could have taken over the NBA, but he doesn't care about his physical stature. He's not committed. So his floor is terrible, according to the book. And Williamson just hasn't been able to realize his potential or take his team to the next level. So that's a big problem. And he's getting a lot of money to play video games and hang out with his young buddies instead of focusing on basketball. And he gets hurt a lot and then he can't play. So that's part of the thing in the book. Very interesting. Lots of good examples. They talk about a flooring company, and he wanted to scale from several, 30, 50, 100 million to $1 billion in 10 years. And Hardy helped him clarify that and said, okay, let's do $1 billion, but let's do it in 3 years. What's it going to take to do that? He says, oh my God, I don't know. Well, it's a franchise kind of thing, and he got rid of the slower franchisees that were okay but not great, and put more money and emphasis onto the franchisees that were real hustlers, and gave them big goals. And so all of a sudden they became high achievers, better achievers. They were able to move up the ladder and achieve at a level they never thought possible. And all of a sudden this flooring company grew like 10 times, and it was amazing, and they actually hit their $1 billion goal. So that's kind of what it's about, the science of scaling. If anybody's read this book, we welcome feedback. Anything to say is great. We're interactive here, so feel free to chime in.
Yeah, Steve, I'll jump in for a minute. And one of the things that I thought he did that was interesting was he broke it up to what he calls the 3 F's, right? There were 3 parts to the book. It was your frame, your floor, and your focus, right? And when he was talking about the frame, I think the 2 things that really stuck out at me, being a new business owner, was setting that goal so big that it's impossible. When I think about it from my personal perspective, just took on a lot of debt, that would, before I read the book, I was thinking about letting it term out and go the 10 years. But now I'm thinking, how do I reestablish this and get it done in a year or 3 years as opposed to the full 10 years? And how much money can I save in interest if I do that? I think the other part of that frame was the timeline, right? It's not just about setting a really lofty goal. It's about compressing the timeline as much as possible. Because when you set a lofty goal and compress the timeline, what you've always done won't work. That 3 to 5% growth mindset is not going to get you. He also co-authored 10X is easier than 2X. And it's, similar mentality where you have to set really audacious goals in a really short time frame to change the way you're thinking and how you're going to get there. So those were a couple of things that stuck out at me. And I also, the business that I acquired is seasonal. So I'm trying to think about how do I make it not seasonal, and how do I reestablish my floor, and what are things that I can do? What are things that I can do to add to the business so that those off months aren't off months, and how do I get my floor to a place where I can pay off my debt in 3 years as opposed to 10.
Yeah, that's great. I'd love to hear from the group. Other people, do you have goals? I mean, chime in. What kind of framework do you use? How do you assess a good deal from a bad contract? What makes it work for you? And then how do you go back and reassess all these things to make sure you're on the right track?
So I had the pleasure of hearing Dr. Benjamin Hardy speak actually live on a podcast with Myron Golden, and they do live recording down here near Brandon, Florida. And one of the things that he said stuck with me was that you're building yourself, right? So when you're building something to achieve these goals, the metrics and the target that you're shooting for on an organizational level, those are really the superficial side of things. What you're really building is yourself and your team, whatever humans are involved, in order to take on that challenge and what it forces you to become, who it forces you to become in order to even have a chance of achieving those goals. And I forget who said this, but it was part of a YouTube montage a motivational video, but he said you should go out there and try to become a billionaire, not for the money that you'll have, but for who you will have to become in order to achieve it. And even if you fail, you still have become a higher version of yourself. And so I think that's the other part of setting those goals. It's not about whether you hit the goal exactly. In that situation, in that example you gave, if the company would have not reached $1 billion and instead would have reached 835 million, did they fail? Did they? And that's the point. It's not about the number, it's about the work that it takes and the mindset shift.
Right. Did he talk about the right team members and getting rid of kind of the slackers and those kind of things like Mel was talking about?
Yeah, well, what's it, the old is it GM model where you get rid of the bottom 10% every time you do that? Yeah, not so harsh, but yeah, the idea is that you have to be, always growing. And like Mel was talking about, the getting rid of the wolves, right? That's one easy way to cut and also at the same time grow.
Yeah, I had a client, and he was kind of a little bit into this GM thing at their GE. Actually, I think it was GE at the time.
Yeah,
That was kind of the model where they got rid of the fifth person on the list, no matter how good they were. If the other four were better, they were gone just for the sake of doing it. And so they like recycled all the time, which I guess it made sense when, back in the day when you could get away with that stuff. I'm not sure you could do that now. But yeah, I can identify with that. That's interesting. But like in the book, he talks about the flooring company and how he had to get rid of the slower franchisees that just weren't going to move up to the next level. They were either too lazy or complacent to really care that much, but they didn't meet his goal. So he had to make some adjustments and get on the right page so he could move his company forward and make those crazy goals that were laid out for him. So that's really cool. Have you guys established floors like where over time you've had to turn away business, like fired clients? They talk about that all the time, or just said, "Nah, I'm not taking these contracts anymore. They're just not right. I need a bigger number or something better over time than what's being offered." I know we all need to eat, and the money's always good to feed the family, but still, I mean, is there a point, or is anybody here kind of like just said, "No, I'm not taking that anymore. They're gone, and I'm just going to focus on bigger things"?
I'll
Yeah, so
go ahead, Eugene.
sorry, this is Eugene. So I was just going to say that when you are driven to metrics and you do have goals, and in my role, we do have goals and metrics, you have to consider the time versus the opportunity. And I think what we don't get back in life is time. So to just kind of focus in on how much time is it going to take to pursue this opportunity and what's the end goal. And when you were talking about earlier, some of the things that you can focus on to hit your goals and make yourself more productive. I think one of the things that you can focus on, especially when you're in a metric-based role, is to not be transactional, right? Are you building a long-term relationship? Is this something that's going to be a today, tomorrow, and in a year's time, continue to create rewards and incentives versus we're doing one transaction and I'll never speak to you again? I think those two things have been things that have worked for me within my roles. And at one point, I was a branch manager for a large institution in the banking industry. And one of the things is to hire and fire people, and people that manage large staffs know that to even get someone up to speed in a particular role could take a year. And that itself can put you behind the eight ball in terms of goals. And what really kind of worked for me is creating belief. What I used to do is I used to call it the white rabbit theory. And in that, what I meant was if you've ever seen a track where like dogs race, they have this white rabbit on the inside that moves around, and it's kind of like the dogs kind of chase it and like go around the track, and it kind of keeps them moving and it paces them. And if you can just get that one person out in front to prove that it can be done in the same branch, in the same area, in the same vicinity, through the same customer base, then those that need to see to believe they can achieve those goals kind of start to see what's going on. It starts to become real. And then everybody just starts to kind of follow that white rabbit and just race to the finish line and see how hard they can compete. And that really kind of worked for me as a branch manager. I kind of took over a lot of low end performing branches, and instead of going in and preaching to people or trying to change behaviors or working on eliminating people and firing them, I found one person who had enough faith to believe he could, helped him be successful, and through that kind of got others to try to jump in and see, hey, what is he doing? How can I replicate that? How can I make that work for me? And it created change.
So as a follow-up, Eugene, what tells do you look for? Like you talk about this is going to be a bad deal or this could be a good deal with potential. I mean, how do you sit there and kind of make the decision, nah, I don't know about this one, or this sounds great, or, now I'm just going to have to cut bait. How do you do that?
For me, it's again, it's relationship driven. If you got someone who wants to work with you, and who's communicating and holding up their part. So like for me, I may need to acquire documentation. I want the gentleman who's going to provide me the documentation in 24 to 48 hours versus the gentleman that'll get to it. Because as we go along, there may be more documents I need. There may be hiccups in the deal where we need to connect and have conversation about how we can mitigate some of the things that my underwriting team has either discovered or identified as possible issues. And the quicker we can kind of overcome that, I've found that even if we're unable to do the deal, even if we get to the end and unfortunately we can't get the deal approved, that's a gentleman who's going to stay close, continue to work with you on other things, and then eventually in a year's time, as long as we're working together and communicating, we can possibly get the financials to a place to where we can get that deal that we tried to do a year earlier approved. So for me, again, it's mostly relationship driven and focused on the communication that I have with the potential customer.
Interesting. Christian, what was Hardy's thinking on the impossible goal? I mean, for a lot of us mere mortals, there's only so many things that we could pull off if we're not working for a big corporation or, have like a team of 50 or 100 people or whatever. So was there any talk of on a smaller scale of a smaller company kind of ratcheting up? Yeah, I mean, we can do all these things, but as a small player, how do we connect with that and make Hardy's thing work for us?
So what I remember from the talk was something that was actually very reminiscent of, it sounded like Simon Sinek, and the floor model in this case not being a dollar amount or, any number, but really your expectations. So lifting the floor on your expectations for what you expect from other people, from your partners, from your clients, from yourself, most importantly. And the example that I recently experienced had to do with networking events. When I first started, if you told me there was a room full of people that might possibly kind of maybe want to buy something that I'm doing, I'm there. Is it business attire? Like, are there free drinks? And eventually I realized that there were certain rooms that were not for me. And I had to elevate that floor. I had to lift that up and say, I'm not just going to go because it says it's a business event. It's a networking event. There's opportunities, all these key words and all these things that are shiny objects. Look at the world of AI right now. You can go on social media and within 5 scrolls, you're going to find the next best AI tool that's going to solve all your problems. It's going to bring you all the leads, all the money in the world. you can't do that. And so you have to raise that floor on your expectations of yourself and where you're going to be. To me, that was the most practical, pragmatic takeaway, because I've done the other thing too. I've said, okay, I used to charge 100 an hour. Then it was 150. Now I won't do it for anything less than 2. Maybe I factor in inflation. Those are all just calculations. But the most important part is, what is your personal floor? What do you expect from yourself and the people around you?
So when you say you raised your number from 100 to 200, did you actually cut business, or just say, oh, well, they're only going to pay me 1.25 an hour or whatever, and just say, no, I'm not taking that deal? Or how did that work?
It was more of a gradual decay. Basically, some proposals just didn't get signed, or some people didn't, continue doing work with me. They never explicitly said it was because of price, but it's just, sometimes you're going to outgrow your customers, you'll outgrow your partners, you outgrow your friends. And same thing, I always go back and say, your business is really just a reflection of the person that you are, especially if it's your business, right? Or your department, or whatever you're responsible for. And in that case, if you are growing as a person, some of your old friend circle, maybe they're still hanging out in the old neighborhood at the local bar or wherever they might be. You're going to outgrow them. And it's not a hard line. I don't want to be your friend. It just becomes very obvious that this relationship is not going to continue evolving because I'm on a different path.
I have a quick note on that. That's wonderful what Christian said. Around the leadership table, I really enjoyed this book. I read it a little while ago. We use terminology to help people understand what that floor is. And I can't say it better than Christian just did, but it's about self-improvement, but it's everything. So we use what we called lowest common denominator. We would try to identify LCD. You didn't want to get termed LCD, but those lowest common denominators can be products. They can be our own behaviors. They can be square wheels on the wagon. And so once again, getting the best of yourself is the beginning. It's the most important. Then you have to get the best of everybody around your scope of work, your leadership table. And then if you're at the top, like I enjoyed what Bill was talking about last week, because Bill's got a lot of experience, or however many weeks ago. I really enjoyed his talk about his books. But it's difficult when you're at the top, because how do you get the best out of everybody? And so that language of the floor does resonate with people. But also, if you're looking for terminology, LCD, people get it. You're just like, hey, those lowest common denominators in yourself, in some of our, we need to fire some of our clients. We need to try to hedgehog and do what we're really good at and shed the rest. And so those were things that we tried to do to raise the floor. It's very, very difficult when you're trying to do it in an organization of 1,000 people, because you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah, and I imagine it's difficult as a small shop to just eliminate certain kinds of clients. Everybody says, well, you need to fire the client. Well, I get that. And, we've done it, and other people have too, because they're more trouble than they're worth. But on the other hand, where do you get to that point? And is the impact fast? You say, like if you follow what Hardy was saying in the book, the impact will be fast if you're just fully focused on this certain income level or this certain type of client, and that's all you're concerned about. Then it's going to happen quicker. I assume it will, but I'm really not sure. If you're a small shop and all of a sudden you're just like eliminating 50% of your clients because they don't meet the criteria, where do you go? And I don't know how quickly that all happens.
So I got a comment. Mel, thanks for the kind words for a few weeks ago. I have a great example, I think, in a SaaS company that I was at, and I was running operations. And we had a particular client, this is in the voice world, providing voice and security services, kind of like a managed service provider. And a lot of times these people keep changing providers because they're unhappy with the service and support. And so they continuously change. So one of the first measurements when you get a brand new client that comes out of the blue is to find out if they're changing providers just because they're unhappy with their previous one. That means they couldn't work it out. So this particular client was with this particular company for about 6 months and was a nuisance to the customer service team. They couldn't do anything right. They didn't want to use the features the way they were supposed to be used, and they were trained and onboarded. And the CEO, I was the head of operations. The CEO was really upset, talked to this customer a couple of times. He couldn't deal with it anymore. So he said, I want you to do something about them. So I talked to the client, and I found out that there was no way there was anything we could do to make it right. We cut them immediately. I literally said, we're going to return what you've paid us for the last 6 months, which was a few $1,000s. And when I did that, the CEO was kind of taken by surprise that I made that decision, because I had the authority to do that. But the customer service team was totally rejuvenated that the management team would actually do that. And they dug in and did a better job, because they now knew that the executive team was behind what was going on with them. So we fired a client. I took the action. I have no scruples to do something like that. I had no problem after talking to it was actually a woman customer who thought that she was stronger than the men. And I had experience working for CEOs previously like that. She was like that. And I said, you don't need to use 4-letter words on me or the company. If it doesn't work for you, you should move on. And I gave her the name of a competitor. Call this person. I'd rather have that person go directly to the competitor. I said, use my name, and they'll give you a little bit of a discount, guaranteed, because I knew a lot of the people in the market. They signed up with the new person right away. Everybody was happy. I don't know how that happened after that, but firing the client helped the culture inside this particular company. The service and support team, everybody was watching. This was about, I'd say, 60 people in the company, and it just helped everywhere, right across the board. So
Great.
That's interesting. That's interesting, Steve, because in a way, Bill made the town safe and rounded off some square wheels, because a client can be a culture bandit too. Right.
And this particular one they were driving everyone crazy.
And it falls up. You probably were the only person with the authority to do it, and you did it. And you should always do it.
Well, the CEO could have done it, but he didn't want to. He didn't want to be that guy. I said, I'll do it. I have no problem doing it. So
why don't we go around once and just let everybody introduce themselves? Because not everybody knows everybody else. Mel obviously has talked. Tim, why don't you start and tell us who you are, what you do?
Sure. How is everybody? My name is Tim Ryder. I'm a CPA. I work for the CPA firm MGO LLP on Long Island. We perform tax services, consulting services in various arenas, and as well as accounting services. And I wanted to also give my 2 cents on this whole discussion about certain clients that you keep and certain ones that you don't. We're a medium-sized firm, and we merged with the firm I was at before. We were a smaller firm at the time, and then we merged with a medium-sized firm. So my smaller firm had its share of like smaller clients, like individuals that used to work and make money and had transactions, and now they're pretty much just kind of collecting Social Security and maybe a pension here and there. And I've never really explicitly said, listen, you're too small for us. We're going to have to get rid of you. But I have honestly said, listen, you're smaller. I'm always looking for ways to save and defer taxes. And when your tax return isn't too complex, like the situation I described, where it's just a pension and Social Security, you might be able to go to someone else that's even cheaper. And some of these people, again, when you're living on Social Security and pension, the way times are now with inflation and things get tough. And, we have said, listen, we love having you. We're not firing you, but, you may be able to get services from a smaller firm that's a little bit cheaper. And, kind of also helping the client out as well. And again, it's always good to have clients, but if it's a client that can get the same services because they don't have a lot of issues going on for $500, and they're living, it's kind of times are tough, and they're paying us $1,500. I think it's kind of the right thing to do sometimes, just to downsize in those areas. And it's there's got to be a little bit of the human element there as well. We're not, it's kind of a win-win. We're not losing a ton of revenue, and they're at the same time they're getting a little bit of a break as well.
Kimberly, how about yourself? What do you do?
Hello, I'm sorry, I'm a silhouette. My light is broken. This backlighting is crazy. I actually have a couple of businesses. I train early stage entrepreneurs, and I'm also a creator of Ignite brand of products, which is for women, helping women really navigate that second stage of life in a much more intentional way and centering joy. I'm listening to the scaling and the business, all of that. I've probably got bit by the early stage startup business not back in 98 and really fell in love with business. So all the talk about scaling and uh, organizational culture and all of that is really right up my alleyway. So I'm loving all of the discussion.
Great. Glad you could join us. Joe, how about yourself?
Good afternoon, everyone. Great seeing everybody again. Wonderful book. I got it right after the last meeting and listened to it, and probably the 2 weeks after that. Made me jump into 10x is easier than 2x, which was a previous book with co-authored with I forget the other person's name, another different co-author, but really just transformed my way of thinking about helping business owners to focus on scaling. Like I've often talked about 10xing their business, but it really just gave a different mindset towards if you were to 10x your business for real, or if you were to cut down your time frames for real, what would you have to do to make that happen? How would you focus on that? And that's really been transformative of my thinking and trying to figure out how that fits in with my coaching for my clients, and how do I get them in alignment with that, connecting that, the BHAGs from Jim Collins, and how motivating they are. So I have a 3-part formula for success. I do leadership training, coaching, if that wasn't obvious to you guys so far, but I work with businesses to help them to grow and scale and solve some of their cultural challenges. Mel, I just downloaded your book from Amazon Audible.
Thank you.
Looking forward to listening to that. Too bad you didn't narrate it yourself.
I know. That's
I saw
interesting because it's a huge commitment. So I hired a guy that sounds just like Casey Kasem. So see what you think.
All right.
America's Top 40.
I'll try to imagine you when I'm listening to him, but I don't know if it's going to work. So, but anyway, yeah. So I work with business owners, help them to grow their businesses and to focus on leadership development. Right, better leaders produce better results. The 3-part formula for success that I use is I call it inspiration, activation, transformation. And in the inspiration piece, we're energizing our team with things like proper character, proper culture, proper communication, having a big vision and goals, and being living for a purpose and functioning for a purpose. And then the activation phase is the strategy and the process that you're going to get there. Are your people properly equipped with every tool and strategy they need to be successful? And then the transformation phase is the accountability coaching, where leaders are the partners with their teams for the team's success, and accountability is just a tool to help them to be more successful. So overlaying the science of scaling and the floor and the frame and these big audacious goals and 10xing, it's just a lot to kind of revamp that whole system and reformulate it all. But it's been a great read. So I'm glad we dug into that. I'm glad I was able to participate last month, and looking forward to the next book that we dig into as well. So anyway, thanks for listening.
Sure. Susan, how about yourself?
Hey, well, nice to meet you, Steve. I just had a one-on-one connection call with Kevin like an hour ago and popped in. So this is my first time here. I'm with the Grand Connection. I'm co-founder, and I've been in the world of digital marketing since the world went digital. So I started marketing 3 or 4 decades ago. I love this idea. I just started in my podcast reviewing business classics. and applying them to our Connect, Create, Collaborate framework at the Grand Connection. So this is kind of fun to hear about books and get some new ideas of books I should read. Downloaded 2 new books on Audible today. So Mel, I'll have a listen to your book and the other one that we've been talking about, How to Scale. So great to meet people. And, we have a community as well, talking to Kevin about doing a JV sometime and having you guys as part of one of our grand mixers. So maybe we'll see you again on Zoom there too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Carrie, we haven't heard from you. You want to fill us in?
I'm Carrie. I actually work with Mel. So I've been working with Mel for about 3 months. But I also am working on building out my speaking platform for domestic violence. So I just finished actually writing my book. So I'm doing that, and I do copywriting and book editing as well.
Awesome. Francis, you want to fill us in on?
Yeah, hi everyone. My first of these sessions, so very interesting. Uh, I do cost consulting, part of ERA Group, and we're the largest global cost consulting firm, helping mid-market businesses from 10 to 100 million uh, get insights and get help in securing hidden EBITDA within their overhead costs, all the different categories that they have. And we have the benchmarks, the expertise that the mid market surely doesn't have. And we do this risk free. So rewarded only on the savings we put back into their pockets. So it's a great boost for businesses. And, uh, I know we're talking a lot about accelerating growth. And I do essentially hit the other half of the equation is helping them keep their cost in control and the vendor overspend in control. I wrote some post on this on LinkedIn just today about how companies, especially the ones who are growing fast, tend to not have their costs in check, and it only comes to light when things slow down. And really, this is what I've seen through my 25 years of consulting. Right? It's only the companies that keep a tight balance and make cost control a way of functioning as they expand and grow, are in a right position to just be overheads, maybe not head over shoulders, but definitely edge out their competitors.
Okay, great. Mark Anderson, are you there? Let's see his picture. Okay, and then Mel, I think we have your friend from Boston down there on the bottom somewhere. Where is she gone? Oh, there she is.
Yay.
Hi. Well, that's not Boston in the
I
background.
throw that up to confuse people. It's always good. Oh, it's been a great experience listening to everybody. I have read Mel's book, and it is absolutely fabulous. For those who've downloaded it, there's no better storyteller. What I do is I've worked with Mel in the past in consulting and culture changing and all of that great stuff. I've been a sales leader for the majority of my career. I do consulting as well. Today, I'm really focused in this day and time on forecast governance. So I created a tool that actually takes all the chaos of AI, all the chaos of all the different CRMs, and kind of eliminates CRM optimism or happy ears that we call it during forecast calls, and grades an actual deal through 5 perspectives. So cross-functional executives all grade a deal separately. There's never been one time that grade has been similar. It actually scores based on ICP and MEDIC and all the sales buzzwords, internal alignment of the organization, and it tells you whether you should keep it in your forecast or not, very objectively. And the most objective part of that is the divergence between the different folks on the executive team. So it helps create a better culture, helps those forecast meetings, which can be, let's just say there could be heightened emotions in a lot of them. And it takes the emotional weight of why somebody thinks a deal will close and replaces it with actual facts.
Okay, interesting. Mark, I see you're unmuted, but are you available?
I'm here.
There he is. Yay. Mark Anderson is with us. Go ahead, Mark, if you can.
Yeah, I came on to see Mel. It was recommended I come on and take a gander at Mel and see what he has going on. I haven't read his book, and I'm kind of in a little different arena. I do investigative interview training, actually interview training across the board in auditing, investigations, human resources, science-based interviewing. And I've gotten into the organization side of it and was just writing within the last couple of weeks on the issue of you can't do the interviewing right if the culture isn't right within the organization. And so Mel's take on the issue of culture, and I have like 1,000 questions for Mel, with regard to how do you address that culture issue first. And I assume if I put this stuff out to some of the organizations that hire me, they'll probably stop hiring me because now I'm taking a shot at them, not their employees that might not be doing things right, you know? So that's what I do. I do investigative interviewing and interrogation, and I do work in well-being and resilience. You can't do your job right. You can't do your job well if you're not well. And I don't think organizations pay much attention to the well-being of their people. And so kind of approaching that from two facets.
Okay, great. Has everybody had a chance to introduce themselves? I think so. All right.
Eugene, I think Eugene there. Eugene, are you there? I don't know if he's on mute.
No. Also, I haven't had a chance.
Christian, no, go ahead, Christian. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, if Eugene's on, like, if not, I can go.
Oh, there he is. There's Eugene. Okay.
Yeah, how you doing, everyone? My name is Eugene Rodriguez. I am a senior business acquisition manager for JP Morgan Chase, and I've been in the finance industry for 24 years now. So many of the things that you were talking about performance and development and challenging yourself and being focusing on making what is seemingly impossible possible are all things that we continuously try to focus on. The company in many ways sometimes has what we regard as lofty goals at the beginning of every year. And we do wind up hitting those metrics, focusing on the day-to-day and focusing on the things we can control. And like you said, keeping the right mindset and activating all of our assets, as opposed to just leaning in on a few key employees to get to that goal. So totally with this conversation, really loving this conversation and really appreciate being a part of it.
Hi, Christian, your turn.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christian Torres. I'm actually a co-chair for the Business Strategy and Innovation Committee, along with Anthony Bonaspina. If anybody's met him, great guy. And so we just had our first one earlier in the month. And I live in a world known as decision intelligence, which really is the layer that sits above artificial intelligence and business intelligence and below human decision-making frameworks, because human decision-making is at the very top. And then we have AI, we have business intelligence, analytics, forecasting, which is originally the world I came from. So I have about 15 plus years in business intelligence. And what I realized was that I had made a series of terrible decisions in my youth, which I actually just self-published my book about a month and a half ago. It's called Built in the Dark. And I won't go into it too much, but the little hook is I was an NYPD police officer and I destroyed my life completely. I obliterated, went nuclear, and found myself in federal prison for 10 years. Solitary confinement for 18 months. I completely lost my mind and had to rebuild my entire identity from scratch. And Excel and spreadsheets became my new passion and my new love. And from there, I went into ISO, quality management systems, Lean Six Sigma. It just, that all made sense to me. And so today I live in that world of decision intelligence, building tools, and actually the book, a business classic that changed my life, and that's why I have a passion for books, was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And there was this chapter where he talks about sitting down in his library, close his eyes, and imagine he had all the brilliant minds of his time, Ford, Lincoln, Carnegie, Edison, kind of like sitting there, pressure testing his ideas and helping him make better decisions. And I found myself doing that literally in a concrete box by myself while I was trying to rebuild my life. Fast forward to today, I'm using AI to recreate that exact experience where what I do is I help people build personal AI advisory boards, not generic, not like a marketer, a COO, a CEO, but actually from the voices from the experts that they know and trust, the people that you read their books, you watch their videos. And so compiling that through a couple of layers of cognitive psychology, I can recreate those and the tension in the room. So it's really fun to watch. Like if you ever want to know what would happen if you propose your idea to Steve Jobs and Kevin O'Leary and watch them kind of like battle it out and then eventually figure out where they land to help you, like that's the stuff that I do now. And it's fun, it's fascinating. And that's why I'm here today.
Awesome. Did we give everybody a chance to talk a little bit? Okay, great. Well, we meet the third Wednesday of every month. So the next one will be August 19th, I believe. And the bestseller we're going to talk about is Never Eat Alone, Keith Ferrazzi. And it's about networking. And it's been written a while back, but it's still very apropos today as far as making connections and moving your business and your life to the next level. So we'll be talking about that. And if you enjoyed today's meeting, please pass the word and let's get more people involved and have some fun. And looking forward to it. Kevin, anything else to add?
Thanks everyone for joining. I also, for future reference, I'm also putting in the chat box for the next meetings registration page for next month's AVCCI Business Book Club. So if you like today's session, please sign up for the next one that's scheduled for August 19th, same time. And looking forward to having you all. And please go to avcci.us website. And if you go to the events page, you can see our coming committee meetings and other events as well. Thank you so much for your support.
And if you've written a book and want to be interviewed for the next one or the one after that, let us know. And we'll do our author interviews every month. So if you've written a book and you're a member, we'll give you top priority and we'll have some fun with it. So let us know. Let Kevin know, and I'm sure we'll all find out. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you in August. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Mel Blackwell, the president of Blackwell Media Group, and I'm a proud member of the AVCCI. Joined recently and very, very supportive and excited about that. As president of Blackwell Media Group, basically, I'm a retired corporate fixer. For 35 years, I've worked in global companies, domestic U.S. companies, to help boards and C-level teams try to figure out how to solve complex business riddles. In doing that, I actually decided to hang up my cleats because 35 years is a long time. I deployed behind enemy lines. I did not go in as a consultant. I took a full-time role because I loved working with the teams. I loved building the teams, and I liked the smell of napalm, and so I worked in those different stints for 2 to 6 years, and in kind of graduating from that world now, I do keynote speaking at major conferences, at annual retreats for corporate teams, and kind of a hybrid of coming in to speak to a large crowd or even a small room, and then rolling up my sleeves and coaching and helping a team solve a specific complex riddle. In doing all of that, what I realized, I wrote a book called Uncommon Sense: How to Fix Your Workplace Culture in the Wild West of Business. In doing all that, I realized, reflecting back, for about a year, I wrote the book that I've been working on for 20 years. And when I finally said, all right, I'm going to write this thing, I realized almost everything I did was culture. And so I am somewhat of a culture architect. I've had a reputation of being very plain spoken. What you see is what you get, funny. I like to have fun, but pretty serious. And I can do some really complex, brutal stuff, whatever it takes to protect the culture and the good people. And so that's what I do now. I do the speaking and I work with people. Don't even be embarrassed. It's like, Mel, we have this really complex riddle that's we're beriddled by it. I'll come in, roll up my sleeves, and we'll slay that thing. So that's what I do, and I'm looking forward to it. And I highly recommend everybody support Kevin and the AVCCI.
Hello, I'm Suzanne Beck. I'm the sales manager at Preferred Events, and I'm a proud member of the Americans Virtual Chamber of Commerce, and I'm excited to be here. At Preferred Events, we are the preferred choice for your event rentals throughout the New York metropolitan area and beyond. Whether you're planning a corporate event, a charity walk or run, a fundraiser or gala, a festival, school event, or private celebration, we provide the rentals and the support needed to bring your event to life. Our inventory includes tents, chairs, linens, staging, flooring, fencing, structures, tables, and so much more. What truly sets us apart is the commitment to customer service and helping our clients create successful and memorable events. We work with corporations, nonprofits, schools, municipalities, and event professionals, and we love the opportunity to learn more about your upcoming events and what you're looking to do. If you're planning an event and need a reliable rental partner, please reach out. I look forward to connecting with fellow AVCCI members and finding ways we can support one another's success. Thank you for watching, and I hope to meet you soon.
Hi, my name is Mike Catherwood, one of the founding members of America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry, AVCCI. I'm also the chair of the International Trade, Wholesale, Distribution, and Logistics Committee. During our committee meetings, we'll be sharing important content that will help companies in those industries achieve their growth goals. Aside from AVCCI, I work for Allianz Trade, the largest provider of trade credit in the world. Trade credit helps businesses in all industries feel comfortable with who they're extending credit to, eliminating the worry of, is someone going to pay? If your business is offering credit terms or considering doing so, please contact me to learn more. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Steve Turner and excited to be a part of the American Virtual Chamber of Commerce, AVCCI. I am the owner and operator of Solomon Turner Public Relations in St. Louis, author of the book PR That Works, and a national speaker. We solve the problems of helping companies build their brand through PR strategies in this crazy era of AI. Solomon Turner helps business owners better connect with their customers and communities that they serve for the long term, and we help sales and marketing with long-term growth by using these PR strategies. We have clients nationwide. We've worked with a lot of people you would know, such as celebrities as Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Steve Forbes, and many corporations like Northwestern Mutual. So I invite you to reach out. Love to talk to you, meet you, and have a conversation. And feel free to email or call at the numbers provided. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm talking to you as a founding member of America's Virtual Chamber for Commerce and Industry. We are proud to be a founding member of this movement, and we're inviting you all to join in. Let me introduce myself. My name is Halil Aksu. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Digitopia, a global scale-up working on digital and AI transformation, reinventing consulting. We are helping organizations ranging from Unilever to Microsoft, from Intel to many other organizations in various industries, in various geographies. We are assessing their maturity, we are road mapping their digital and AI transformations, and we are helping them with all kinds of questions around AI implementation. As you know, AI is the most important and most influential technology of our days. This change is unprecedented. Every industry, every business is affected and must harness the opportunities AI is bringing. So, for any questions around AI and the transformation within your organizations, we are the right partner to talk to. We helped hundreds of customers around the world, and we're happy to helping you as well. Looking forward. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Stacy Simbrom. I am a member of the AVCCI. I am also one of the leads of the Women in Business Committee and the Health and Wellness Committee. I run a company called Reflection Project. I am a coach. I am an integrative wellness coach. And what that means is I work with individuals who want to optimize their lives, do better with their wellness, do better in their relationships, and feel better about themselves and the world that they live in. I take an integrated approach, which helps you to learn how to leverage your 3 centers of intelligence, which is your brain, your logic, your emotions, and your body, which is your intuition. I bring several different modalities into this work. I've been doing this work for about 15 years now, and I would look forward to working with you and collaborating with you in this space. If this sounds like something that you would like to learn more about, please contact me either by phone or by email. Thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting with you soon. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Anthony Buonaspina, CEO and founder of LI Tech Advisors. We're located in Babylon Village, Long Island, and we've been in business for over 35 years. We're an MSP specializing in AI automation and business intelligence, and we're very excited to be leading the Long Island chapter and as a founding member of America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry. That's AVCCI. We're very happy to be a member here, and also we're looking forward to doing a lot of great things with this organization. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nerio Rivera, and I'm a founding member at America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Please join us today and let us help you grow your business. So I'm also the Senior Client Manager at IMSM. There we help support your current and upcoming ISO certifications through training and a variety of other services. So if you have any questions regarding ISO, the process, or how to maintain it, please send me an email.
Hi, it's Neil Abruzzi, and I'm here to talk to you today about America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I am proud to be the head of the Technology for Business Committee, where through the Commerce we intend to bring usable technology information to the membership, something not far-reaching, but something that you can use in your business, hopefully that very day. I'm 35 years running EDI Options. We're here a company for making connections between retailers and vendors. We provide connectivity services, integration services, data handling services, and all kinds of different commerce consulting. So come on and join us at the America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce. You're going to love it here, and I look forward to working with you going forward.
I'm David Faverio. I'm a founding member of America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry, other known as AVCCI. I am the chair of the Sustainability Committee, We look to educate people and businesses on how to be more sustainable and how to introduce sustainability into their business to be more efficient in their operations. I'm also the president of Pupfish Sustainability Solutions. Pupfish's data destruction methods are AAA NAID certified through iSigma, which certifies our adherence to the highest security and ethical standards in the data destruction industry. We operate on a zero landfill policy, which means nothing winds up in the landfill. Everything's 100% repurposed or recycled back into the U.S. manufacturing stream. And Pupfish received our certified B Corporation status in 2021, and we are proud to be a force for the local and global good.
Welcome to America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry. My name is Joe Beauchamp. I'm one of the founding members here. I'm also the chair of the leadership committee. I'm here to help leaders develop strategies. My company is Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions. We help business owners and business leaders to develop their leadership skills, the leadership skills of their team. We know that better leaders get better results, and we provide that leadership strategy, training, and education for business leaders to run their companies better. Hope you can join us at the America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Hi, I'm Arthur Germain. I'm the principal and chief brand teller at Brand Telling. We're a brand architecture firm, and I'm a proud AVCCI member. So, brand telling gives growing B2B companies the one clear story your whole team can tell, so you, as the founder, aren't the only one who can explain what your company does. What does this sound like? I call it narrative drift. It starts off, it's all in your head. You know the story. You built the brand, you know all about it. But now every sales call has a different story, and prospects start to notice. Or your marketing spend is up, but your firm never really seems different. Maybe you're expanding and your founder's story isn't the same as when you started. All of these things are parts of what I call narrative drift. I help companies by exploring with them what makes them different and unique. I call it the category of one. What gives them that category of one, and then how do they express that category? So, for example, I've worked with technology companies that often sound very similar to others in the industry, and I've helped them to really look at where do they serve, whether it's through a geography or whether it's through a specific industry, and what do they do? Why do clients come to them in the first place? I explore that, and then we install it. I call it installing a story operating system. What we do is we look to write down all of the messages, all of the narrative about the company stories, so that it's in one place. Think of it like having a brand Bible where everybody can turn to find out all things about you. And that way you're not having to make things up or trying to jump around trying to build new messages when you build something like a presentation for sales or you're updating and refreshing the website. Why is this necessary? Here's a good example. Lots of companies will go through a merger acquisition. Maybe it's just two friendly companies that merge together. Now they're offering some new products or new services, and you're not quite sure which one leads. It used to be just your company before the other one. Now, how does that brand story sound? What you want to do is you want to sound unified, and you want to make it sound like you're doing this for your customers' benefit. So I help companies to do that. I guide them through the process of discovering their category of one, installing that story operating system, and then I stick around. I help them to maintain through brand guidance. That's what I love to do. My background is in brand storytelling, starting in publishing 20 years ago, moving through public relations and marketing, where I discovered what people really wanted was to learn the story. They wanted to know the behind the scenes, what's going on at the company. That's what made them different. That's what made them unique. And that's what made them good partners, good customers, good employees and employers. So I work with companies to discover that. Again, my name is Arthur Germain, and you can find me at Brand Telling. That's brandtelling.com. Thanks very much.
Hi, I'm Christine Daniels. I'm a high performance coach, executive strategist, and keynote speaker. I'm also a founding member of America's first virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the co-chair of the Leadership and Management Growth Committee. I run my own business. It's a coaching and consulting practice. The work I do is about developing leaders, building stronger teams, and integrating high performance with personal alignment, that inner work that makes the outer work sustainable. I deliver this through executive coaching, leadership development, and strategy work with executives, founders, and leadership teams. Before this chapter of my career, I spent over 25 years across capital markets, family office investing, and venture capital. One of the things I value most about AVCCI is what it actually is: a national community where professionals, business owners, and organizations connect, collaborate, and amplify each other's work. Building a business is one thing. Building it with the right relationships, the right visibility, and the right network across the country, that is something else entirely. And AVCCI is where that happens. If this sounds like the kind of community you've been looking for, we would love to have you. Learn more at avcci.us and learn more about my work at christineadaniels.com. I look forward to connecting.
Hi, my name is Adam Dicker, and the first thing I want to say is how excited I am to be part of the America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry community. I'm also going to be a coach in the Biz Dev and Sales and Marketing Committee, and I'm really looking forward to that and meeting all of you there. To all the entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals here, it's a pleasure to connect with you. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the former executive vice president at GoDaddy, where I spent years helping businesses grow their online presence and succeed digitally. Today, I work with companies to help them generate more leads, improve website conversions, and use AI and automation to grow smarter and more efficiently. One thing I've seen over the years is companies spend heavily on paid advertising and they don't take advantage or optimize existing traffic or website that they have. You should be getting most of your traffic and leads and opportunities from your website, about 70 to 80%. In reality, your website should be the best salesperson working 24/7 to convert visitors into customers. That's where I come in. I help optimize your websites, improve organic traffic performance, implement those tricky AI tools and with automation, and build systems that reduce dependency on expensive ad platforms like Google and LinkedIn, while increasing your lead generation and customer engagement. My goal is simple: help businesses sustain their growth, increase conversions, and make your marketing work harder. So if you're part of the network and looking for ways to generate more qualified leads, improve your online presence, optimize your website, or leverage AI in your business strategy, I'd love to connect and learn more about what you do. Thank you again for this opportunity to introduce myself, and I look forward to meeting you all shortly.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christy Brink, and I'm the owner of Lux Escapes by Christy, personal travel planning, and the co-chair of the Women in Business Committee. I'm a passionate traveler and work closely with my clients to plan personal, curated itineraries around the world. I research the best value, work with local experts around the world, and provide convenience and support so you can travel more and plan less. I am relationship driven, so it's important to me to get to know my clients so I can deliver the best travel experience with each trip. If Women in Business resonates with you, please join me as we work to provide education, inspiration, and support for all women that join. I look forward to getting to know you all. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bill Miller. I am a relatively older author, founder, CEO of my own company, and I am a member of AVCCI. I joined this year. I've been on the podcast, the ABC podcast, AVP podcast, and I really enjoy this particular group. So I'm the author of 2 books, The Rookie CEO, You Can't Make This Stuff Up, and What Every CEO Must Know, 37 Secrets to lead with confidence and power. I founded my own company, which is consulting now. I added publishing to it in 2011. It's Beeline Bill Enterprise. That's on beelinebill.com. And that website is being updated. This week it should be updated. And last year co-founded a company called Zaboom with 3 O's, LLC, Zaboom LLC, where we do voice AI, in mostly outbound calling. We do some inbound. So those are the things that I'm actively involved in. I have 5.5 decades in technology, the last 3.5 decades as an executive leader. I have had a seat at the table. I worked for many rookie CEOs or first-time CEOs, another way to say rookie, at various phases of their role, and that's what drove the creation of my first book. Living in the trenches, being a number 2 executive in a company, and knowing how decisions are made, knowing good decisions, bad decisions, decisions that could have gone either way. Think about your life. Every major decision in your life is a fork in the road. If you go this way, you take that job. If you go that way, you take another job. And that sets you up for whatever is next. And so our life is really built around the decisions we make and how they come out. So I've written about a lot of these experiences. The second book, I have actually firsthand stories from many CEOs in there. Some of them are CEO stories that I tell as the number 2 man or somebody on the executive team. Because you see, over the years, you see patterns of things that CEOs tend to do, especially first timers. First timers go in, they have a business function that they came from typically, unless they're a super young founder when they're very early, and they, especially these days with AI, there's a lot of founders that have never been in a corporate company, corporate America, where they've learned all of the things that you go through to work your way up the chain. So typically, though, the first time CEOs, all the ones I've worked with, they come from a business function. It could be engineering, could be sales, could be marketing, could be finance, and they have expertise that got them to where they were to be positioned for the CEO role. In one way or another, they either got promoted or they got hired into that role. When you get in there, you don't know what motivates all the other teams unless you have worked with somebody who's a coach or an advisor, board of directors, whoever it is that becomes your right hand right out of the chute. You really don't know what you don't know. And so my second book, and a lot of my speaking now and my writing, is about blind spots. And so I'll be releasing kind of a new offer very shortly that'll be on the new website, which is you'll be able to do a free CEO assessment to identify the top blind spots, the top things that you need help with. You get a free assessment. You can get an assessment brief report from me. All of that is for free. And then if you want to go into an intensive, what I call a blind spot intensive, then you can work with me for a modest fee. But there's a lot of experience there. I help people work around challenges that they just can't see around the corner. And a lot of times, again, like I said, you don't know all the different business functions. You know the one you come from the best. You might have opinions that you're a good marketer or a good salesperson, and maybe you are because you've learned from good people that have worked with you over the years. But to put it all together and be that person at the top, and your boss is the board of directors, or outside people, outside investors or shareholders, it gets to be a little bit more difficult when it's your decision. And who do you go to? Who do you talk to? What kind of advice are you going to get? Is it going to be filtered or unfiltered? Who do you trust? Who can you trust? All of those things, I try to help you build muscle to handle all of those specific situations. And again, my books are to help first-time CEOs, founders, and stuck CEOs kind of move forward, see what other people have done, see how it's worked out. Think about my second book, The 37 Secrets to Lead with Confidence and Power, what every CEO must know there. It's real stories. They're the biggest mistakes CEOs have made, how they could have avoided it, how they recovered from it, and how they moved forward. And you'll see in that book, if you read it, and I do recommend it, it's a great read, with 37 Secrets to Help You. The thing is that other people made these mistakes. You can see how they got there and the decision they made, why they made it, and what the results of that were in their particular company. And more than half of the CEOs that I write about in that book, these are their stories directly from them that they gave to me with rights to print it, use their name, the company that they were at. Several other CEOs gave me the rights to their story, but would not identify themselves by name and company because they're still there. And so they're surviving. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has blind spots. You should shorten your cycle to better leadership, making better decisions, especially under pressure, and especially when you don't know what you don't know. So those are the things that kind of make me tick these days. Again, think about what I do. I have Beeline Bill Enterprises, which is my kind of like I call it a consulting firm. It used to be Beeline Bill Consulting, and then I changed it. But I have my publishing firm there, my consulting firm, and everything else that I do personally. I have my two books. I'm a co-founder of Zaboom, again with three O's, Zaboom LLC, which is a voice AI startup, about 7 or 8 months old now. And we have our first customers working on product market fit. We have some pretty satisfied return customers. It's a month-to-month SaaS type situation with voice AI. So my partner and I, as my life partner and business partner, we stay focused on using AI in business and all of the different types of methodologies. I have a blog on TMCnet, ceoinsights.tmcnet.com, which is the company called TMC, which is Technology Marketing Corporation. The CEO is Rich Durrani, president is Dave Rodriguez. I've been involved with them for years. I moderate a CEO Insights panel at IT Expo for the last 6 years in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and build a panel of 3 to 4 CEOs, and we just have a topic, whatever that topic is in the track we're on. So I do that. All of the recordings of those panels are on my YouTube channel, which if you do searches for Beeline Bill, which is my brand, BEELINEBILL, same as my website. If you do searches for Beeline Bill, you'll find pretty much all of my, a lot of my things. There's videos for also the CEO success stories that's sponsored by the Cloud Voice Alliance. I'm sort of a content advisor there, and I interview CEOs in the telecom space and related because I've been involved in that market for many, many years. And voice AI is kind of part of that because voice is coming back as a big thing these days. There's nothing like a good old telephone call, and now voice AI is considered an automated call by the FCC and TCPA, Telecommunications Consumer Protection Act. And when you think about all of the things that I do in a semi-retired mode, I'm kind of busier now than I was when I was working full time, which I left technology in 2020. That's when I wrote my first book in 2020. The second book was published the end of 25. I stay active. It's one of the reasons that I joined the AVCCI and their book club. We featured me in the first inaugural of that particular podcast, and my book is listed on the AVCCI book club website. So kind of that's me in a nutshell. I live in Maplewood, Minnesota, which is part of St. Paul. I come from the Boston area, so I'm a hardcore Boston and New England sports fan. I was born and bred in that area, went to school in Needham, Mass, and then Northeastern. I've lived in many states besides Massachusetts, California, Southern California, Northern California. I've lived in Huntsville, Alabama when I worked for Digium. I've lived in Minnesota now twice. This is my second time, and we're here because of a grandbaby that's a half an hour away. And so I stay pretty active online, and this is a great group to be part of.
Thank you for being with me in the American Business Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest in the American Business Podcast, please send us an email, guestbooking@americanpodcast.tv. If you'd like to sponsor ABP, if you'd like to advertise in our podcast episodes, please send us an email, growyourbusiness@americanpodcast.tv. You can advertise your company, your products, your services, and your brands in the American Business Podcast. Please send us an email, growyourbusiness@americanpodcast.tv. You can also visit our website, americanpodcast.tv, to learn more about the American Business Podcast, as well as our coming streaming schedule. Now you can have your branded company podcast within the American Business Podcast network. We call it Business Podcasting as a Service, PaaS. If you're interested in starting your business podcast in the American Business Podcast Network, please send us an email, paas@americanpodcast.tv. As part of our international expansion, we started international podcast editions. When you scan this QR code, it'll take you to our YouTube page. And please go to the podcast section in our YouTube page, and you'll see our international podcast editions. They are ABP Espanol, ABP German, ABP French, ABP Hindi, ABP Portuguese, and ABP Turk, that you can listen to American Business Podcast in 6 different foreign languages. Okay, well, we are in the process of increasing our presence in social media. If you're on LinkedIn, please scan this QR code and subscribe, follow us on LinkedIn. If you're on TikTok, please scan this QR code. It'll take you to our TikTok page. Please subscribe. Please follow us. If you are on Instagram, please scan this QR code. It'll take you to our Instagram page, and please subscribe. If you are on Facebook, we'll also appreciate your help and support. Please scan this QR code. It'll take you to our Facebook page, and please follow us. And finally, we are on IMDb, next to other reputable media productions. Please scan this QR code, go to our IMDb page, and please rate us on IMDb. We'll truly appreciate your help and support. I'd like to thank you for your help. Thank you for your support. I'm looking forward to seeing you in coming the American Business Podcast episodes. The American Business Podcast is the voice of American business. The American Business Podcast, America's fastest growing educational business podcast network in this age of AI. Thank you very much for your help, and looking forward to seeing you. Thank you.